The DJI Osmo Pocket has become one of my favorite cameras for creating content on the go. But DJI has now taken things a step further with the Osmo Pocket for P. And this isn't just a small upgrade. We're talking about a new dual camera setup, improved image quality, better flexibility for shooting, and a camera that's still small enough to literally fit in your pocket. Today we're going to find out if the DJI Osmo Pocket for P Vlog combo is actually worth upgrading to. We're going to look at what's included in the Vlog combo: image quality, stabilization, autofocus and tracking, low light performance, audio, battery life, and most importantly, is this the camera I'd actually recommend for YouTubers and vloggers? Let's start with the unboxing. This is the DJI Osmo Pocket for P Vlog combo, and as you would expect from DJI, everything is packed up pretty nicely. Inside we have the Osmo Pocket for P itself. And right away, the first thing that stands out is just how compact this camera is. This is one of the biggest reasons I like the Pocket series. You don't need a camera bag. You don't need a big gimbal. You don't need to spend 5 minutes setting everything up. You can literally pull this thing out, turn it on, and start recording. The Vlog combo also includes the accessories designed to make this more of an all-in-one setup for creators. And that's important because one of the biggest advantages of buying a combo like this is that you can start creating without immediately having to spend another few $100s on accessories. Let's talk about the camera itself. The Pocket 4P keeps the basic philosophy that made the Pocket series so popular. Small camera, big results. It's lightweight, compact, and extremely easy to carry. But the biggest story here is obviously what's happening up top. The Pocket 4P uses a dual camera system, giving you more flexibility than previous Pocket cameras. And that's especially useful when you're shooting yourself, filming other people, or trying to get different perspectives without carrying another camera. The built-in gimbal is another huge advantage. Instead of relying on electronic stabilization alone, the camera physically stabilizes the image. And you'll really notice that once we get outside. Now let's talk about what I think is probably the biggest reason to consider the 4P, the dual camera system. The main camera is designed for your everyday shots, while the additional telephoto camera gives you another perspective without having to physically move closer to your subject. And this can make a surprisingly big difference. For example, when you're filming yourself, you can get a tighter, more flattering shot. When you're traveling, you can compress the background and make your footage look more cinematic. And when you're filming other people, you can get closer framing without necessarily putting the camera right in their face. That's something I really like about having multiple focal lengths in a camera this small. The DJI Osmo Pocket for Pro features a larger dual lens camera module and gimbal head compared to the single lens DJI Pocket 3, making the Pro model's head noticeably bulkier and slightly more top-heavy. The Pocket for Pro houses a dual camera configuration, a main 1-inch sensor and a dedicated telephoto lens, whereas the Pocket 3 uses a single 1-inch camera lens. Accommodating the extra lens hardware requires a physically larger camera head and stronger stabilization motors on the Pocket for Pro. Accessory compatibility, because the camera head and gimbal on the Pro are larger. Older lens filters and magnetic accessories designed for the Pocket 3 will not fit. Weight and balance. The larger hardware shifts the balance slightly, making the Pro feel a bit more top-heavy during extended one-handed vlogging sessions than the streamlined Pocket 3. While still compact enough to carry around, the expanded Pro camera module reduces the effortless, ultra-minimalist pocketability found on the Pocket. So how does it actually look? This is where the Pocket for P really starts to impress me. The footage looks sharp, the colors look good straight out of the camera, and there's plenty of detail for YouTube. But here's the important part. You don't need to be a professional filmmaker to get good footage out of this camera. That's what makes the Pocket series so appealing. You can put it into your pocket, pull it out, hit record, and get footage that looks significantly more polished than what you'd normally get from a phone. And if you're coming from a smartphone, this is where you'll probably notice the biggest difference, especially when it comes to stabilization, depth, movement, and overall cinematic look. Now let's put this thing through a real-world vlog test. I'm going to walk around with the Pocket for P, talk directly to the camera, and see how well it handles movement. And this is exactly where the Pocket design makes so much sense. I don't have to hold a phone out in front of me. I don't have to carry a mirrorless camera and a giant gimbal. It's basically an entire stabilized camera system in my hand. And because it's so small, I don't feel like I'm carrying camera equipment. I'm just carrying a camera. Another feature that vloggers are going to love is subject tracking. I'm going to set the camera up here and walk around. And the goal is to keep me centered in the frame while I'm moving. This is especially useful if you're filming yourself without another person behind the camera, or even filming yourself working on a car. You can set the camera down, hit record, and let the camera do some of the work for you. Now let's see how it performs when the lighting isn't perfect. Because daytime footage is easy. Almost every modern camera can look good when you have plenty of light. The real test is indoors at sunset or at night, and this is where the larger sensor and improved imaging capabilities become important. The Pocket for platform uses a 1-inch sensor, and DJI has specifically emphasized improved low-light performance and dynamic range. For vloggers, that's a big deal because we're not always filming in perfect lighting. Sometimes we're in a restaurant. Sometimes we're walking around a city at night. Sometimes we're filming inside a house. And having a camera that can handle those situations without immediately turning the footage into a noisy mess is important, or even filming yourself working on a car. You can set the camera down, hit record, and let the camera do some of the work for you. Now let's talk about something that can make or break a YouTube video. You can have amazing 4K footage, but if your audio sounds terrible, people are going to stop watching. For this test, I'm going to compare the built-in audio with the microphone included with the vlog combo. This is the built-in microphone.
Just want to go over things that we think it's great about it, and some of the things that we just find that we didn't like.
And now I'm using the wireless microphone.
We did see one time. We did see our when we came back in. Let's say it's 63% right now on the charging capacity.
The difference here is something you'll want to hear for yourself. For me, if I'm recording a sit-down review, I'd rather have the cleanest possible microphone setup. But if I'm traveling or doing a quick vlog, having a compact wireless microphone system is a huge advantage. Let's put the gimbal through a tougher test. I'm going to take a ride on an electric scooter, going through turns, hills and bumps, and finally let's move a little faster. This is one of the biggest reasons I would choose the Pocket 4P over simply using my phone. The physical gimbal gives the footage a smooth, controlled look. Instead of the camera bouncing around with every step, the gimbal works to keep the lens steady. And for walking and talking videos, that's a huge advantage. This camera is for someone who travels a lot. It's like having a full-size lenses but in a compact design with all the bell and whistles of a full-size lens camera. Imagine going on vacation. You already have your phone. You have your luggage. You have your wallet, passport, and sunglasses. The last thing you want is another giant camera bag. The Pocket 4P gives you a dedicated camera that takes up very little space. And because it's a gimbal camera, you're getting stabilization without needing to carry a separate gimbal. For travel vloggers, that's a pretty compelling combination. Now let's talk about battery life. DJI rates the Osmo Pocket 4P for up to 210 minutes of operating time on a single charge. Keep in mind, though, that this is DJI's best case testing under specific conditions, so you're not going to get 210 minutes of continuous 4,000 recording. If you're shooting in 4K, especially at 60 frames per second, using the screen, active track, Wi-Fi, and other features, battery life will be shorter. The good news is that the Pocket 4P supports a battery handle and is compatible with the DJI Pocket 3 battery handle, which can add up to another 130 minutes of operating time under DJI's test conditions. For everyday vlogging and travel, I think the built-in battery is pretty good, but if you're planning to shoot for several hours, I'd definitely recommend having the battery handle or a USB-C power bank with you. After using the DJI Osmo Pocket 4P, here are the things I really like. Number 1, the size. This camera is incredibly easy to carry. Number 2, the stabilization. The built-in gimbal makes walking and handheld footage look much smoother. Number 3, the dual camera system. Having more than one perspective in such a small camera gives you a lot more creative flexibility. Number 4, the image quality. For a camera this small, the footage can look seriously impressive. And number 5, it's extremely easy to use. You don't have to be a professional filmmaker to get good results. Now let's talk about one of the features that really caught my attention on the DJI Osmo Pocket 4P: slow motion. The Pocket 4P can capture up to 4000 resolution at 240 frames per second, giving you incredibly smooth slow-motion footage. At 240 FPS, when you play that footage back at 30 FPS, you can slow the action down to about 8 times slower than real time, and this is where slow motion becomes really useful. The higher frame rate also makes fast-moving subjects look much smoother and gives your footage that professional, cinematic feel. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that shooting at 240 FPS requires a lot more light than standard frame rates. So if you're filming indoors or in low light conditions, you'll want to make sure you have plenty of lighting available. But no camera is perfect. There are a few things I don't like. First, with the dual lenses, meaning a larger gimbal head, you can hear the gimbal head moving around freely. It doesn't come with a gimbal screen protective cover hard case, fortunately. Third parties accessories has come out with their own. You will need purchase that separately. It does come with a soft portable carrying case, but knowing the gimbal is very sensitive, we recommend purchasing the protective cover hard case. Second, if you're coming from a mirrorless camera, you're still going to have limitations compared with a system where you can swap lenses and build a much larger rig. And third, the price. You're paying a premium for the combination of a small camera, gimbal stabilization, multiple cameras, and all of the technology packed inside. The small size is both a benefit and a drawback. It's easy to carry, but it doesn't have the same physical controls or ergonomics as a larger camera. So the question becomes, is it worth it? So who is the DJI Osmo Pocket 4P actually for? I'd say it's a great option for YouTubers, travel vloggers, content creators, real estate creators, DIY creators, family and vacation videos, and anyone who wants professional-looking footage without carrying professional-sized camera equipment. If you're someone who wants to grab a camera, hit record, and start filming, this is exactly the type of camera I'd look at. But if you're already using a high-end mirrorless camera, and you have multiple lenses, and you're comfortable carrying a larger setup, the Pocket 4P probably isn't going to replace your main camera. Instead, I'd look at it as a secondary camera, something you can keep with you when you don't want to carry the big setup. So after spending time with the DJI Osmo Pocket 4P, what's my final verdict? I think DJI has created one of the most interesting compact cameras for creators who want a balance between portability and image quality. The dual camera setup gives you more creative options. The gimbal gives you incredibly smooth handheld footage. The compact size means you're much more likely to actually carry it with you. And that's something I think is often overlooked when buying camera equipment. Because the best camera isn't always the camera with the biggest sensor or the most expensive lens. Sometimes, the best camera is the one you actually have with you. And that's where the Pocket 4P really shines. For YouTubers, vloggers, travelers, and content creators who want a small camera that can do a lot, I think the DJI Osmo Pocket 4P deserves serious consideration. But I want to know what you think. Would you choose the DJI Osmo Pocket 4P over a smartphone? Or would you spend the money on a mirrorless camera instead? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.